News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris. President Trump says Iran has agreed to suspend its nuclear program indefinitely and will not receive any frozen funds from the U.S. Trump told Bloomberg News in a phone interview this morning that a deal to end the war is mostly complete, adding that talks over a lasting agreement will probably be held this weekend. He has not decided who will lead the delegation for talks with officials to sign an agreement. Iran has yet to comment on any deal beyond the Hormuz opening. Now, Iran did announce the Strait of Hormuz is completely open for commercial traffic for the duration of a 10-day ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon. President Trump says the naval blockade will remain in full force until a deal is fully reached, but Iran says if that's the case, the strait will stay closed. Bloomberg opinion columnist Mark Champion says deals were made.
The U.S. traded putting pressure on Israel to make a ceasefire in Lebanon for some opening of the strait in Hormuz. So each side got something they want. The Iranians have linked the duration of the opening directly to the ceasefire in Lebanon.
Bloomberg National Security Team Leader Nick Wadham says this is just a start.
You have a situation where Iran is essentially saying, hey, yes, the strait is open, and obviously the market indications are that that's being greeted with a lot of relief, but it's going to take days and potentially even weeks to really start seeing whether traffic is going to resume in the kind of numbers we saw before the war.
Now, the strait has been shut since the U.S. and Israel started bombing Iran at the end of February. Iran says the ships passing through the strait need to coordinate with Iran's Revolutionary Guard, and military ships are still banned. The president posting on social media that Iran has removed or is removing all sea mines in the strait. Brent crude dropped more than 10%, now less than $90 a barrel, and West Texas Intermediate is down more than 12%, near $83 per barrel. We do check markets for you all day long here at Bloomberg. The S&P 500 is up 1.25%, NASDAQ up 1.5%, and the Dow up 2%. The Russell 2000 Index up 2.1%. The 10-year Treasury yield at 4.23%, and the 2-year yield at 3.69%. On Capitol Hill, the Senate has approved a short-term renewal until April 30th of a controversial surveillance program used by U.S. spy agencies. This morning's action followed a post-midnight session in the House after Republicans revolted and refused President Trump's push for a longer extension of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. Bloomberg government Capitol Hill reporter Maeve Sheehy was there.
That was a chaotic one, and I was there. It happened early this morning, I guess, around 2 a.m., There have been days of negotiations between leadership and hardliners, and there was this floated agreement that then failed on the floor. So basically, the House unanimously adopted a 2-week patch.
Bloomberg government's Maeve Sheehy. Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei is set to meet White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles to resolve that company's AI fight with the Pentagon. Axios was first to report on the meeting to brief the White House on the national security implications of the new Mythos AI model. Bloomberg senior editor for technology, Mike Shepard.
The argument is that, look, this technology is powerful and it is new and it can't be fully trusted. And those are some of the very arguments it made in making this new Mythos model available only to a limited number of Wall Street banks and technology companies so that they could test it out and see what vulnerabilities lie in their own systems.
And now the federal government is considering whether to give more agencies access to a version of Mythos. And Netflix shares are down 10% on a disappointing forecast. Bloomberg's Dan Curtis.
Second quarter guidance was 78 cents a share. The estimate was 84 cents a share. Revenue and operating income forecasts also in lighter than expected. This comes after the company boosted its ad-free subscription plan by $2 to $20 in March. It's also the first earnings report since the company stepped back from the Warner Brothers bidding war.
Bloomberg's Dan Curtis. Intel shares rose to their highest intraday level since the dot-com era as optimism about the chip maker's turnaround plan grows. The chip maker is in the midst of a multi-year effort to restore its technological leadership after years of ceding market share to rivals. Analysts expect Intel's rally to continue with the potential for new big-name customers to be announced, and some predict the stock could trend toward $100 over time. Shares of Intel right now about 2% higher. That's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris, and this is Bloomberg.